Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it is January 26th. Can you even believe that January is almost over? It seems so crazy. I just went to the computer and I was like, what is today's date? The 22nd? I thought it was the 23rd. And I was like, it's 26th already? I was like, oh my God. Closer to the summer that we're getting. I am fine by that. But, I was talking about this in my vlog the other day. It's interesting as you get older, because, or maybe this isn't just an older thing, but I didn't feel this way as much when I was younger. I'd just be like, oh, I can't wait for winter to be over when it's warm again and I can go to the pool. And it's like, as much as I feel that way, I even caught myself, I counted the weeks until the pool opens again. I know. But, as much as I'm ready for summer to be here, it's like, I don't want to speed through the days of winter, if that makes sense. Like, even though they're cold and gray and, I went through a period a couple weeks ago where I was just really lacking motivation, and I just would wake up every day and I was like, oh, I was like very Eeyore, Eeyore-ish from Winnie the Pooh. But I kind of got out of that, and I really think that gratitude kind of helped me get out of that. But the thing is like, don't get me wrong, I would love 80-degree days and be able to go to the pool every day and, just get my coffee and go to the pool. But at the same time, it's like I don't want to rush through my life, you know what I mean? And so I've been trying to kind of find things that really make me happy each day. Like yesterday, I literally lit every candle that we have down here on any kind of surface. And I ended up lighting probably, 12, or I had like 9 that I could see. And then there were like probably all the ones in the kitchen. And then around by the we had one in the bathroom, this like amazing rose candle that somebody sent me, and then one in like right when you walk in, and I had it literally looked like a monastery. I was kind of joking about that, but it was fantastic to have all these candles lit, and the bed was made all cozy, and so there are things that I can do to make sure that I'm enjoying these winter times as well, and it's just about kind of adapting to that. And then when summer's here, and I'll enjoy that as well. And I'll quickly be putting out my Bath & Body Works Island Margarita candle that I purchased and bought for everybody, because it's Alex's friend Sarah, that's her favorite scent, and she gave me the hand sanitizer and stuff, and I have a hand sanitizer, but I never had the candle. So I bought her a candle for Christmas, and I bought Tanya a candle for Christmas, and I bought myself a candle, and I'm ready to light that Island Margarita and say, hello, summer, we are here. All right, but until then, let's get in and read a couple meditations today. I brought the Melody Beatties and the Year of Positive Thinking book. So let's get into this, and I actually brought my reading glasses. Can you believe it? January 26th, I just went to May 27th. God, if it was May 27th, I'd be like, the pool's opening in 3 days. I can't wait. Anyway, on the heels of that conversation, January 27th, a life of your own choosing. What would you do differently if the opinions of others didn't matter? Write a list. Prioritize the items in order of what you are most excited about. Start doing all the things on your list, then consciously enjoy living a life of your own choosing. I think it's, a rather interesting conversation. I don't know, it's something that I feel like I did more when I was younger, this idea of kind of like, I don't think that it's so much about the opinions of others. I think it's about this kind of idea that I need to keep up, if that makes sense, this keeping up with the Joneses kind of idea of, well, so-and-so has this kind of house and this kind of car, and they have this, one of the conversations that I really, really do not like engaging in. Well, first of all, my parents always brought me up that you don't talk about money. So it's interesting to me when I'm having conversations with, and most of my close friends don't do this. I mean, we might talk about money problems, you know what I mean? But when people start talking about like retirement plans and IRAs and all this kind of stuff, it's just like, what happens is I'm sitting there, I don't know if you've ever had this feeling before, but I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like, we don't have anywhere near set up like they do, And then I start getting a little nervous, and then I compare myself to them and whatever, and then I have to kind of go full circle and say, we are doing the best that we can, and you know what? We may not even make it there anyway. My mom plans so much for the future, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You should definitely plan for the future, And I'm a big believer in savings accounts, and if you, and IRAs and all that kind of stuff, and mutual funds, and and just putting money down and buying property or whatever is your plan for what it is, right? I'm a big Dave Ramsey follower, so anything that he suggests is typically what I do. I've talked about that on my vlog ad nauseum. But, my mom spent so much time focusing on her retirement. It was constantly like, well, you know, I mean, she wasn't even working at the time that she passed away, you know, and she hadn't for a couple of years, but she was like, you know, I'm saving for my retirement. I'm saving for this. I want this. I want my house paid off by retirement. I want this, blah, 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 whatever, you know, and it was constantly that. My mom died at 64 and a half. She didn't even make it to 65, you know, and, you know, I think about that. In fact, it was interesting because when my mom that month, she was in the hospital, you know, and so my aunt had filed for her to get her Social Security check. And I don't know if I've shared this on here before, but I mean, it wasn't even that big of a deal, the check, right? But it was kind of interesting to me. She got it so that we could like pay her bills while she was in the hospital. You know, like her mortgage and her electricity and all that kind of stuff. And my mom, so my mom passed away on the 14th. That was her first month to ever get a Social Security check. And because you can get it at 64. Well, you can get it any age, I think, after 63, but you just like take a certain amount, like less or whatever. So she got it at 64 and a half. And that was her first month to get it. My mom died on the 14th. And if you die before the 15th, you have to give the full check amount. So I had to write them a check back. You're welcome, IRS, you know, because my mom passed away before. Isn't that so crazy? But it's like all this planning that you do, you know, and like always thinking like, oh, well, they have this car, so I should have that car. Or my kids are in these sports, so their kids are in these sports, so I have to have my kids. Listen, let go of all of that, okay? Let go of all of it. Be on your own journey. Be too much. Enjoy your life and do what makes you happy. You know, I walked into my high school reunion. I am somebody that I can say I was blessed enough to be able to have that kind of Romeo and Michelle high school reunion that you all wish for. You know, I went into my 20-year high school reunion nervous as SH I could. I was scared to death, right? And it's funny because the place that it was Champ's Restaurant, Champ's Americana, and it was torn down, and it was on this lake. And it was this summer night, and I'll never forget, I went, and I was, like, in very good shape at the time, and I just wore, like, you know, old jeans and, like, a Western shirt with, like, the pearl buttons on it. I just was very, hey, here I am. Take me as I am. And, you know, my husband went with me and one of my good friends from high school. And I remember, like, when I checked in, the guy that was, like, the president of our class, he was like, what's your name? And I was like, Peter Monn. And he, like, double took and, like, looked up. You know, I was not popular in high school, but everybody knew me. You know what I mean? Because I had been bullied and made fun of and all this kind of stuff. So he was like, oh, hey, how are you? And I was like, I'm good. How are you doing? You know, and he gave me my name tag and stuff like that for my husband. There's a whole funny story about it. Because my husband actually, we went to the same high school, but he graduated 12 years behind me. So he put on, like, his name and class of whatever, just to be a smart ass. But he actually, it was funny because, like, what he does for a living, he knew a lot of the people that were there and stuff. So that was kind of funny. But anyway, people were so nice to me. People were unbelievably apologetic and nice to me. It was probably do you ever have, like, one of those moments that you look back on in your life and you're like, I'm very thankful for that moment? Like that, like I could almost get teary-eyed. It didn't take away from everything that happened to me when I was growing up, but it sure did feel pretty good, you know, to for once be accepted by my peers. 20 years later, yes, but it felt nice. It felt good. It was really a good experience for me to see that people grow up. You know, they're not exactly who they were 20 years before, and I think it taught me a lot about forgiveness. But, you know, what was interesting was that everybody was like, oh, like, you guys have such an exciting life, and I see you guys on Facebook, and this and that, and it was like, here I was, just little old me and my husband, you know, living in our little small condo with our dogs, our little 1,200 square foot condo, you know, with our dogs, and, you know, traveling on a dime and just having fun and going to music festivals and stuff, you know, like paying off our debt and eating at Applebee's, the 2 for $20, and like but was so genuinely happy. Like we were so happy, you know, and then everybody had seen, like, on Facebook and was like, you guys have such an exciting life. And here I was in my head, like, I can't catch up. Here are CEOs and executive position people that are making $1 million a year or $500,000 a year, living in $1 million houses in the suburbs, driving Range Rovers, and, you know, I've got a car payment on a Ford Escape that I'm lucky I can even make. You know what I mean? Like, that was it at the time. And I look back on that and I think to myself, it's like my friend that said to me later, you always lose by comparison. You know, whenever we compare ourselves to other people, we always lose, you know? And I look back at that point in my life and, like, that was, you know, like, my husband and I were having a lot of fun. We were having a lot of fun in our life. I mean, we always do. We try to, I mean, there have been, marriage is tough. There's been really, like, there's been some valleys and some really tough times. But at that point in our life, it was really fun. Like, I can remember just, like, after that, we went and met up with some friends at this, like, bar restaurant in Broad Ripple in Indianapolis. It doesn't exist anymore. It's this little cafe place, and like we met up with some friends, and then I remember like the next night we went to like, or the night before we had gone to like the salsa dancing place at the Jazz Kitchen, and you know, it's just like I remember all of that, how fun it was, and like that doesn't necessarily define like, oh well, I look a certain way, you know. Live your life. Do what makes you happy, you know. Don't live your life for somebody else, because one day you'll wake up and be like, why did I do that, you know? Why was I, you know, living just to make somebody else happy? What's the point, you know? And I think that the true happiness is when you're surrounded, like I don't have tons of friends in my life. Like I think people think I have tons and tons of friends. I don't. I have Tanya Jean, she's my best friend, you know? I have Melissa and Jason. They're like our closest like couple friends, but like we're equally close with either of them, you know, both of us. I have my friend Valerie. You know, I have a couple other friends that I'm really, really close with. People on here that are in recovery that I don't talk, or people in my life that I don't talk about because they're in recovery. But the thing is that each person in my life loves me for who I am today. Right? Like my husband, his family, everybody, they love me for who I am today, you know? They don't love me for this idea of who they have in their head that they want, that I should aspire to be. They love me for who I am and where I'm at, you know? Meet somebody where they're at, you know? Do what, I keep on saying, you know, live your life that makes you happy. You know, I think it's a good exercise to make a list. Like, what would you be doing with your life if you didn't feel like you had to keep up, or you didn't have to like make your mom and dad happy? Like, one of the saddest things to me, honestly, in my experience over the last 40 years of my life, well, I guess probably really only my last 30 since, you know, but friends of mine in high school, this was the same thing, you know? I had friends of mine that wanted to go study like photography or art in college, right? And their parents would be like, no, if we're going to pay for college, you're going to go study something that you can get a career with, like accounting or, you know, like, I don't know, like medicine or law or something. And it always made me so sad, you know? It was like, why would you like hold that over your kid's head? Pay for college because you have the ability and the privilege to pay for college. Like my dad paying for college and my graduate degree is one of the greatest gifts I have ever been given in my life. Every year on my sobriety birthday, I call my dad and I thank him for my sobriety. And we had a really funny conversation about this year. But anyway, I always call my dad on my sobriety birthday and I thank him for for paying for my last treatment. And I thank him for my education, and I thank him for my life, you know? But, you know, why would you, my dad never said to me, because I'm paying, you're going to do this. My dad did sit down and have a conversation with me when I was getting ready to graduate with a degree in English, and he's like, what do you plan to do with this, you know? But, like, if I had said to my dad, I'm going to get a degree in basket weaving, he'd be like, more power to you, let me know how that's going for you, you know what I mean? But, like, I've met so many friends of mine are like, well, when I was in college, I studied this, but I wish I had studied that. You know, and I'm like, well, why didn't you study it? And they'd say, well, everybody told me. Like, I have friends of mine that said they wish they would have gone into nursing, you know, instead of like some business or something. And I'm like, why didn't you go into nursing? And they're like, oh, it was always my dream to, you know, work in a hospital and take care of people and whatever. I'm like, okay, well, why didn't you do that? I have so many friends that are nurses, it's beyond, you know. And then they're like that. They're like, well, there's you know, so many nurses. I'm like, there's a nurse shortage in our country right now. Like, what are you talking about? If you want to do it, and go back now. You know, I was joking about that the other day, but it's like, go back now. I would like people ask me that all the time. They're like, if you were not like making videos on YouTube, like what would you be doing like different? I think I'd be a private investigator. I think that Tanya Jean and I would open a private investigation firm, you know? I used to say be a writer, but I have recently been really working on, like, I said in a vlog, I'm like, I haven't been writing or whatever. It was like the next day I woke up and I just like outlined 2 things that I've been kind of like working on and a new idea. And I was like, I'm going to start doing this. Like, this is stupid. I'm lazy. I haven't, you know, like worked on a book seriously in a long time. So the book thing I can do right now, but like, what would I be doing? Something completely different? I don't know. I think I'd have a private investigation firm, because I'd be like my cozy mystery that I read, you know, with, with Fortune Redding from the Miss Fortune series. It's the best in the world, by Janet DeLeon and her two friends, her two elderly friends, Idabelle and Gertie. You know, I'd own like a private investigation firm and all that. I think that'd be fun. But anyway, so I don't know. I've always wanted to do that. I always wanted to be a detective. And when I was a kid, I get the detective, you know, like little things with, like, you know, the glass and, you know, talking about in the trench coat and all. I think I was a detective for Halloween one year, but, you know, like, that's not necessarily, I mean, I'm so happy in my life and what I'm doing, and I can kind of have fun with that through true crime and stuff like that. But I don't know, if you're every day waking up thinking to yourself, I wish my life was different, I wish my life was different, I wish my life was different, what am I doing? What are you doing? You know, and like, people always say to me, well, I have to pay the rent, I have to have a job. Okay, well, you have a job right now on your day off. Don't quit your job because you have to pay the bills, but go look for the job of your dreams. You know, if you've always wanted to work in music, see if there's a place that you can go work in music for the same amount of money that you're making now. You know, if you're unhappy with what you're doing, it's as simple as that. You know, I mean, it's just like, you got to go out there and try something. You know what I mean? Anyway, like, you got one life. You got one life, and it's this quick. So make yourself happy, you know? And not at the expense of others at all. But we definitely shouldn't be living our lives by what our friends and our family are telling, like, what they think is best for us, you know? Like, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. Have you ever had somebody tell you that? Like, when somebody says to me, you shouldn't, like, as far as, like, a career thing or whatever, like, oh, you're going to write a book. Oh, I'm like, watch, now I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? Anyway, go out there, live your dreams, make yourself happy, and, you know, happy, as long as it's healthy, and do something that will, you know, you look back on your life and be proud of yourself and say, you know what? I really did something here. You know, I did something that really made me happy. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.